I think we're going to move on to some topics now. The first topic is our show's BG OMG. You don't have anything to say about that right now, but it is about Rich Get Richer.
Yep.
The 1% of game design.
It's 1%.
So in certain games, things happen where it rewards the players that are already ahead. And you know how annoying this is, Matt?
It's pretty annoying.
So, man, I'm just going to jump into Blood Rage.
Okay.
And talk about the one thing I don't like about that game. And this is a prime example of Rich Get Richer. Because you've got 3 stats for your clan. As you raise those stats, you get better at certain things. Like being able to put more people out, having a better, combat rating or something.
Something like that. Adding access, right?
Yeah, right. And then the third one was the more action points essentially you have to spend in the round.
Right.
Everything that allows you to do things to gather more points with. But on top of that, if they reach a certain point, which they always do in every game, you get a massive amount of points. Meaning that if you don't get in those heroic and legendary ranks or whatever they're called to get 10 and 20 points per stat, so you can get up to 60 points. If you don't get those for some odd reason, you automatically lose the game.
Right.
And it works out somewhat because everybody's pretty much getting a little bit high. One person usually gets screwed out of it. I don't know. But the thing that irritates me is you're rewarding somebody for raising those when they should be raising those to do better in the game anyway. And that's what I mean by Rich Get Richer. I don't know. It's just, I don't know why you would do this. Take the same game designer in another game he did, Eric Lang. He did Bloodborne. In Bloodborne, you have the trophies, and the trophies get exponentially more points as they raise, but they give you nothing other than points. Now, let's say, for instance, those trophies gave you special powers. That would be an example of Rich Get Richer.
Right.
You know, if they gave you if you got halfway up on one of the tracks and it gave you 2 extra damage on every melee ability, that's crazy.
Right.
But since it doesn't do that, it's not a Rich Get Richer scheme, and I think that's okay.
Right.
Now, one of the biggest, culprits of this is Monopoly.
Well, obviously. Yeah.
You know, because, in Monopoly, you run around, you siphon all this money, you get more and more spots, and no one can really come back because in order to win, you need as much money or whatever. What's the actual goal of Monopoly? To eliminate all the players?
Eliminate the players.
Yeah. So they get poorer and poorer. Now, it is thematic,
right?
Granted. But you got any examples?
Examples, no, but and it's just because we racked our brains trying to think of this, but they're out there. We just couldn't think of them, and I know we've talked about it. We play a game, and it's like, well, you're getting rewarded for playing the game anyways. And you just got to a certain point before, I guess, and now it's just propelling you even further now. So it's disheartening when it's there.
Yeah, that's fair. Another example, I know what you're talking about because we were talking about this before the podcast, and we actually called and made a phoned a friend to get some assistance on this because I do feel like it is like the 1% of board games because we don't run into it that often to where it's like, holy crap, it's in every game. Right. You know what I'm saying? It is few and far between. And sometimes the richer mechanic is there, but everybody's everybody's always playing against the same thing. It just depends on how obtainable it is for certain people. Like if it's a strategy you go for and there's other strategies, for instance, deck builders. A lot of deck builders, you get points for getting the cards, but you need to get the cards to build that engine. But that's the whole point of the game. It's not like it's a strategy to go for and you can ignore that and go for a different strategy that doesn't seem as good.
Right.
The whole sole purpose is to get more cards.
You need cards.
Right. And to build that engine. And that engine happens to be made up of points. So the better the engine, the better points that you get at the end of the game. So it makes sense in deck builders. But take, for instance, Kings of Air in Steam. It's the same thing as Blood Rage in a sense because you're building, as you're running around collecting resources and such, you can spend money to upgrade your ship, essentially. Your blimp. It's a steampunk game. But as you upgrade it, now you can move farther or carry more cargo to move around on the board with. Well, you need to do that because that's what makes you more efficient at your job. But they reward you with tons of points for doing so at the end of the game.
Right.
And it's kind of like I was rewarded with points by upgrading it and be able to score more points on my turn.
Right.
Every turn past that. So why am I getting a bonus? I had the same problem with Mage Knight, where it's like whoever has the most of this gets 20 extra points. Whoever has the most of this gets 20, it's crazy amounts of points at the end of the game. And I guess maybe I wasn't prepared for it. I haven't played it enough to really say if it's that annoying, but I don't know. It's out there, people.
Yeah. And I'm maybe like, I haven't played Mage Knight, but with the example you just gave, like maybe if it's giving you a big bonus on something that you kind of got to go out of your way to do, might be a little different, but like you said, it's stuff you're going to do anyways.
Right. If you're going a steady route, reward me appropriately. Reward me better if I take the hard route.
Right.
Reward me for achievements, things that you don't typically do with your normal strategies, but you go out of your way to do it and you're like, bam, tons of points.
Right.
So, I don't know. That's all I have for it. You got anything else on that? Oh, we have these little meeples that we put on the table here from Adventureland, and that's our signifier to say we're done with this topic. Yeah. Move on. Anyway, that's Rich Get Richer stuff. If you have any games that you feel have Rich Get Richer mechanisms that you do not like, feel free to comment on the YouTube video for this or send them to MeepleCore@gmail.com. We'd love to hear what you think.
Yes.